Alright, so it looks like the recession is turning into a depression. That's always good to see. Looking like coronavirus isn't just some Wuhan bullshit. My boy PM in Canada, his wife got that shit, which means he got that shit. But you know what? I'll tell you something right now. I'll tell you something right now. There's always Dokkan. There's always Dokkan. The world might be crumbling. Everything may be going to shit. Everything may be getting destroyed. But you know what? At least I got this. At least I got Dokkan. At least I have the comfort of getting some type of relief, some type of aid, some type of help. Like some, and there you go. We got Nappa. All right, that's good to see. Believe it or not, I actually did a single summon. Yeah, you seeing what I'm seeing. You seeing what I'm seeing. Um, it's been a while. It's been about 2 weeks since I actually played this game OD heavy. The World Tournament is here. I actually took off of work tomorrow, not because of the World Tournament necessarily, but I did want to take off because I've been really busy lately, and I just need a Friday to myself. Oh, by the way, let me just say, I don't know if it's active just yet. Nah, I think I gotta get a. Oh, yeah, it is active. You do not. I repeat, you do not want to skip out on this banner. First of all, she's pretty good support. He's decent. He's decent. Not that bad. Like this World Tournament banner is lit just because of this guy. Fucking Gowasu, bro. This guy gives you goddamn all allies, key +2 and defense +70%, high chance of evading enemies' attack, including super attack. Dude, this guy is a god tier support unit. This guy, god tier for Roma Gods, god tier for Patara. He is going to be a motherfucking monster once LR Tech Vegito comes out. You got Vegito dodging, doing damage. This man over here adding in defense. God tier support, dude. God tier support. This is like, I kind of wish that I never spent any, like, I mean, he's a pretty good tank, but Gowasu was better as a support. But I kind of wish I didn't even bother spending any World Tournament tickets last time around. I feel like it's been a while since World Tournament came around. I feel like at least like maybe 2 months or so. I'll tell you something right now. I'm gonna tell you right now how I know that World Tournament. It's been a while. Well, no, you know what? You know what? You know what? This is gonna sound crazy. I know. No AOE. No AOE. What? What is wrong with you? I feel like rocking a Frieza team. That's what I feel like doing right now. I feel like rocking a Frieza team. Who here has multiple attacks that are like, damn, this motherfucker, dude, this, oh man, dude, I'm so tempted to give that motherfucker some goddamn, you know what, fuck it, we'll put him as the AoE. You don't know how tempted I am to put some fucking, hold up, I need the right items at least. How tempted I am to give that King Piccolo some, nice, beautiful, bountiful essay up just because of the fact that he ain't that bad, man. Like, keep it a buck. He is actually pretty good. And he is pretty damn sexy when it comes to super attacks, not gonna lie. But, yeah, it's been a while. I'm actually been really busy as of late. The thing that's been sucking up my time a lot, obviously, the stock market shit the bed. I'm not going to even bother saying anything about that. My boy Donald Trump is going to have to pretty much pull some strings and do some black magic if he wants to win this election at this point. But other than that, I've actually been really busy myself. You know, I'm out here. I'm a businessman. You know, I like making business moves. And I actually ended up recently starting to apply for jobs because my job basically gave me like a bullshit ass raise. Like they gave me like a whatever, you know, like 12% raise, which I was like, yo, come on, bro, you can't give a brother 15%. You can't give a hard worker 15%, bro. Like I deserve, I think 20 to 25%, but not even 15%. Come on, bro, that's disrespectful. So I felt disrespected. I felt like, you know what? I like my job. It's a great job. It's been an amazing learning experience, but you know, I commute to work. It's kind of like a hassle in terms of, you know, actually commuting to work. And the simple fact of the matter that my job left a really bad taste in my mouth, where let's do this. I want to do this just because I never use this Frieza ever. I actually want to see his super attack for once in my life. Um, but yeah, like I was saying, I think I killed him. Fuck, I killed him. Like I was saying, they basically gave me like an unsatisfactory raise, and I was feeling like, oh man, like I'm already feeling a lot more responsibility in my company. I feel like one thing that is kind of annoying to a degree in my company is that because it is a medium-sized company to a smaller company, there is like a responsibility for a lot of things, including things that not not to say I don't take ownership of it, not to say that I'm not, taking the initiative, but there's certain things that I've done and certain things that I'm kind of like, I like not even myself, but even from a developer's perspective or from a team member's perspective, I shouldn't really take responsibility for. So, for example, like one thing that is kind of common in my company is like a lot of times you'll go to another team, and this other team is supposed to be like the enablement team. You go talk to them. You're like, hey, I got this problem. Their team exists for security. Their team exists for performance. It's their entire job to enable the other agile teams. And recently, like, in the past, I've noticed, like, certain teams don't know what the fuck they're doing. And, like, it's, like, really pulling, like, teeth whenever you try to, like, do things by the book and have some type of process. And recently, one thing I noticed was, like, for our security process, that shit was, like, non existent. It was just, like, they're like, yeah, you just security test shit. And you're like, oh, whatever. And what's funny is that I bring this up. First of all, like this was a process that we ended up defining. I ended up doing and defining and putting it down on paper. So again, it's another one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm doing shit that really ideally should be given to us in order to enable us, but now it's like some weird thing where, oh, I can get that Budokai Tenkaichi, where basically I'm being forced to take time out of my sprint. My team's being forced at times to take time out of their sprint and work on shit and do different things that really we're not the fucking security team. You know what I mean? We're not that team. We're not whatever team. There's multiple teams that a lot of times like they'll need help with shit and we will help, but it's like to a degree. It's like Jesus Christ, dude. Like, at what point do motherfuckers carry their own weight? Like we out here fucking tanking hits like a motherfucker, bro. And it's actually funny because recently today actually. One of our teams is like the deployment team, like they enable deployment. Like that's the thing. When you build software, bro, this shit is so time consuming. There's so much shit that goes into it. And if you don't have like a strong core team and you don't have like even enablement teams, like this shit could take forever just to push a fucking product out there. And before it was even slower and we did even more, but there's still like room for improvement. And today there was actually like an example of like we have a service that is public facing on like the internet. So like you go to www.ourservice.com. In production, it's supposed to be public facing, like the internet, anyone can go to it. But then for our own like test environment, it should not be open to the public. It should be not open to, people to look at on the internet. And I asked that, and my team asked that, like, hey, do we need to do anything special to make sure this shit don't show up on the internet when it comes to like our test bullshit? And like the enablement team's like, yeah, don't worry about it. We already took care of that. I'm like, all right, bet, no problem. And then today, we're fucking around with it, and apparently someone figured out that, hey, I can get to this website without a VPN, without security, which is not what we intended. Now, it's not the worst thing in the world just because of the fact that like we do have security in place. But just to give you an example of like, you don't want other people being able to communicate with your servers. Like, look at Dokkan. Like, Dokkan right now, they recently pushed a new update, right? They pushed a new update to make their system more secure. They pushed an update where they're taking security and authentication in terms of accounts and giving it to Google and Facebook in order to cut down on people, first of all, losing their account, hacking, people having hacked their account, as well as the fact that, a lot of people have been using Dokkan BattleBot for a long time, and they've just relied on basic OAuth and, like, they haven't really changed their methodology. And when you do things like this, it makes it way harder to fuck around and like get into their system and do all this shit. Because me personally, like they have their shit in AWS, as do we. But we use AWS credentials and management a lot more. Like I don't know why Dokkan does not use AWS security standards with like IAM policies and shit like that. Because that's very fucking hard to basically get right and figure out the algorithm. Because one thing is with Dokkan, their security ain't that great. I mean, I am not an expert, and maybe the fact that other people have like found their vulnerabilities and exploited it, it's like obvious. But at the end of the day, like security is like you should not make your own security. You should pay for something else that exists. And obviously, they're not doing a half-ass job on security. They're using OAuth and shit like that. But it's just the point and the matter that there's way more security measures that they could be taking. But yeah, ooh, I gotta open up a cold case of Corona or can of Corona, whatever the fuck you call it. But yeah, like I was saying, it's just one of those things where, like, at my company, I'm kind of like sick of that constant ownership, and then getting that raise is like, come on, bro. Like, I'm out here putting in work. I'm like fucking ASAP Ferg. Put in work, put them in the dirt, and then guess what happens? They just look at me. They're like, I bet no one cares. Go fuck yourself. And it's like, come on, bro. You really gonna disrespect me like that? You gonna really disrespect me like that? That ain't right. So what I ended up doing is I told my manager, I'm like, hey, listen, I'm not happy with this raise. I think I should have gotten more. I think I did more. I think I deserve more. And he's like, a lot of people got 5% raises, 6% raises. And I didn't say to him directly, like, I don't give a fuck, but I just said, like, I simply said, I'm still not satisfied. Like, I'm not satisfied with this. And so, basically, this was like 2.5 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. He's like, all right, I'll try to see what I can do, blah, blah, blah. I'll email the HR representative, this, that, and third. And I was like, all right, bet, whatever. And then as soon as I heard that, I updated my resume. I had my resume updated. I actually had a friend review my resume. That shit, dude, my resume, dude, I'm telling you right now, anyone who has, like, found a job straight out of college, like, if you don't have an internship, I only had one, like, it's a struggle putting experience on your resume, trying to get out there, trying to, like, make it into, like when you apply for a job, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get hit with the go fuck yourself, we're not interested. Dude, my resume, that shit, on some other level shit, bro. Immediately, you know what's funny? Is that low-key, my resume is too good. Like, it's better than I am. Like right now, my skills, God tier. Work experience, God tier. But admittedly, when it comes to interview prep and doing interviews, I'm not the best at that. I don't grind leak code like crazy, like a motherfucker. Like, if anyone frequents, like, Ask Computer Science or one of those fucking, computer science subreddits, motherfuckers be out there grinding leak code, doing hundreds of problems, finding the perfect solution, getting, like, big mega mind brains. For me, I'm very, like, proud of myself personally because I do understand the concepts. It is something that years ago, like when I was in college, like, I look at a link list and my mind just go, how do you do this? How is this possible? And now it's just really like the anxiety is not there. And dude, here's another thing. First of all, when you're looking for your job after your first job and you're still employed, your resume is better, right? And your anxiety levels are way lower. Like for example, I interviewed at Amazon recently, right? I'm not gonna lie, I was a little anxious because I wasn't expecting to get a call back from them. And I got a call back from them the next day. Like, them motherfuckers were horny. And this is where I'm saying, like, I'm low-key not up to par. Like, I low-key wish that I did not... Okay, hold up. Before I do anything, I need to go ahead and get Broly out here, because I'm sorry. I need that fucking Yeezy Boost 2000. No, not you. I don't have a World Tournament team low-key. Nope. So, really quickly... I wish you could just make a fucking World Tournament team. They get me so tight. Who would be a good leader? Fuck, I have not used World Tournament in such a long time. So let's go with Frieza. And then he gives to Transformation Boost, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. He gives what to Transformation Boost? Transformation Boost category allies. Nice. And now is he Transformation Boost? Pure Saiyan, nah, but he is, right? This motherfucker's Transformation Boost. You know what, actually, I'm gonna go with the retarded Broly strategy, honestly. He's full power. Who else is full power? Boy, Pure Saiyan's full power, okay. You know what, nah, I'm gonna go with him, and then I'm gonna get the Majin Buu for the Extreme SDR Martian boot just because he does like some extra AoE. I low-key don't even need to be like this fucking up with the shit. But I guess, ooh, actually, how much key do you give? Oh my god almighty. Oh my god almighty. You are a god tier support unit. Yeah, that looks right. But, yeah, so I ended up getting into Amazon for an interview super fast. And the reason why I said, like, oh, I'm low-key not up to snuff is because I have not, I have not studied like that many like interview problems. Like before, when I was applying to jobs, what I was doing just to prepare myself and kind of get into the groove was I did a like cracking the coding interview. I did a couple of problems online, but nothing crazy. Admittedly, I'm a lot better at programming now than I was like a year and a half ago, just because I do it a lot more. And again, like the anxiety level does, I can't lie and be like, oh, you know, it's all for me personally. Honestly, it has more to do with how I feel than like how I think, honestly, because well, it has to do with how I think as well. Like I'm not gonna just be like, oh, it's just I'm a genius and I know everything, and it's just the fact that fucking my nerves get to me that I'm a fucking mong. But for me, in the past when I didn't have a job and I was like I'm gonna be broke, I got fucking loans, I got this, I got that. It was like a lot more, stressful. It was a lot more anxiety. It was a lot more fucking bitch made Melima made fucking Drake sad nigga hours. Um, but for this time around, I applied to Amazon. I actually applied to two different Amazon locations, one out of state and one in state. They both got back to me within like a day, like immediately. They're like, yo, motherfucker, you need a job? I got you. Take this fucking test. I don't know. I don't remember applying to Amazon my first time around, probably because my self-esteem was so low I couldn't even like fathom the idea of doing that. But I'm pretty sure they don't come back to you that fast, so my resume must have been pumping. And my friend who looked at my resume and updated works at Amazon. He's not a software engineer, but he works there. So it definitely, it more than likely helped because, like, when you apply for a job, my boy, like, they got keywords, they got experience that they're looking at. And for me, my resume looks good. It's got God tier experience and, like, it's sexy as fuck. So they got back to me fast as fuck. And not only did they get back to me fast as fuck, I was hoping to, this is what my intention was, right? I was applying like a week and a half ago, right? My intention was this. My intention was to apply like 2 weeks ago, right? And I was like, all right, they'll probably get back to me in like March, April. March, the earliest, like March 2nd, like not, like probably this week is when I thought they would get back to me, right? Not as fast as they did. At least that's what I was thinking anyway. Let me see. Let me get rid of this fucking Broly. And they basically got back to me super duper fast. And they're like, yeah, they're like, yeah, dude, here's a coding assessment. Do the coding assessment. After you do the coding assessment, let us know, and then we'll look at it. And then this is one thing I kind of regret. I kind of wish I applied to, if I knew they were going to come back to me that fast, that fucking fast, I would have applied to Amazon out of state, taken the test, passed or failed, and then applied to the one in state, because then I'd have more experience, I'm a little more familiar with the process. So what ended up happening is that the recruiter that I was talking to, it was such like, it was literally the same day. He's like, hey, I noticed some other Amazon recruiter already gave you the test. We could just use that test. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, low-key, I wanted to be like, nah, I want to take another test. Like, I want to have two tests, like, not just one test. Just for, better chance of like, oh, I bombed the first test. I got a second chance on the second one. Not to like cheat or be like, oh, I already know the answers, but you're a little more familiar with it. You get the process, etc. One thing that I did, here's the great thing about this. I did not end up doing well enough on this assessment to pass and basically go in for an on-site or even have a call. And here's the good thing, right? First of all, unfortunately for me, I honestly did want to study a little bit more. Literally, I did like maybe 35 leak code questions, some medium ones, some hard ones. And it was basically just a race to try to cover as much bases as possible. Just like, and the thing that drains so much about computer science interviews is that they don't tell you what the fuck it's about. They're like, yeah, just review arrays, review linked lists, review heaps, binary trees, search trees, red black trees, this algorithm, that algorithm. And it's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, You can't fucking you can't narrow it down to like 10 things. Every fucking thing is up for grabs, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, like, motherfucker, you go to school, you don't go in the room and you take a test and like, all right, we're gonna have a test on fucking algebra today, even though I signed up for fucking home ec. Like just tell me that, and not even algebra. Fuck that. Algebra is too broad of a subject. That's like you study and you doing homework. And that's the thing too. It's not even the homework. Like, you don't know what the fuck you're studying for. You just know there's an exam out there somewhere, which you may or may not pass, which is pretty fucking draining, honestly. That shit drains you like a motherfucker. I actually remember while I was doing my interview, one of my friends called me up and he's like, yeah, dude, you want to hang out? Blah, blah, blah. And I had no energy. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And he's like, yo, bro, you're such a drainer. Like, you drain my energy. I'm like, nigga, I'm over here dying right now. You understand I'm dying right now? I have no energy. You saying I drained you, bro? I'm sorry, brother, but I have no energy to give. So it was a pretty time-consuming process. I actually did take off work last Friday. I took off this Tuesday to do the exam. And then I took off this tomorrow just because I wanted to take off. I feel like I like my last weekend got fucked. This weekend, I felt like it was going to be enough if I just had, Saturday, Sunday. Ironically enough, I kind of regret taking off. Not because I didn't pass that assessment. Again, I did get some good information out of it. One thing that I do need to focus on. So the problem was pretty easy. Like both problems are pretty easy. I think for me, I need to focus on like time complexity and making sure that the solution I provide is like either n log n or better. Like I gave an n square answer and a n cubed answer, which is an L. I honestly was shooting for n or n square at the worst, so n cubed was like fuck. But the thing is, like, you only have 90 minutes to do it, and I have not been doing problems enough to like recognize certain solving patterns. Like, for example, when it comes to matrices, so both questions had to do with matrices, which was not bad. I took linear algebra, so I do have like a pretty strong understanding of that in general. And the problem is that I did not think about the problem like that much. I probably should have spent low key like I spent probably less than 2 minutes thinking about the problem. I should have probably spent closer to like, I don't know, maybe like 5 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes on both problems, like 5 minutes per problem. It was 2 problems. Basically figuring out like what my approach should be and what a good solution looked like, because I kind of just did it thinking like, all right, this will make sense as I go along, and it did make sense as I go along. I got the right answer, but the time complexity was fucked, and I didn't realize until it was too late that the time complexity was fucked. So like the first problem was pretty straightforward. It was like basically it was like some problem. It's like, hey, Amazon is trying to open up like some stores, right? And they give you a matrix of zeros and ones. Zeros is open property, 1 is a store, and like 1 is where they want you to have the store. And there's like some other like small details in it, but my approach for solving the problem was going through for every column and row, just going through each entry, and then skipping ahead if there's like a series of ones because they're considered like the same like housing or building or whatever. Which was an alright solution. It ended up being better, but I did want to go back. I did want to make it better. And then I went to the second problem. And the second problem was a little more annoying because I didn't understand it initially. I kind of started to understand it in the middle, which I feel like was too late. So, like, it was a problem where it was basically saying, like, it was almost like saying that you have a matrix. Each matrix entry represents a server. And these servers send files to each other. And, like, did I pick the wrong team? I did pick the wrong team, did I? Oh, no, I picked the right team. All right, cool. But these servers send files to each other. And that once one server receives a file, it cannot send to the server, its neighbor, for 1 hour. So the approach I took, I think, was incorrect. Was I basically said, again, I would do an n square, problem solving, right? And the problem with that is it wasn't even right, I don't think. Because what I ended up doing is that as I manipulated the matrix and went forward and looped forward, the matrix would change. And what I should have been doing is changing the matrix and then having like a snapshot of the matrix. But again, like what I'm saying right now, that's even less performant. That's not good. It's supposed to be like n or n log n. Um, or at the absolute very worst, maybe one of them be n squared. But yeah, it wasn't as performant. And the thing is that for what do you call it? For the approach that I took, it was kind of like because I had not studied that much. Like again, I did like 30 problems, which and some took longer than others, especially the first problems. Like I'll give you an example. Like starting off, it took a while. Like I started off with what problems did I start off with? I started off problems with matrices, right? And I just did not do a lot of like programming problems in a while. I'm a lot better than I was in the past, and especially since last week. Like, dude, it was only like 4 or 5 days where I like studied back to back. I was doing a lot better, and once I got the things I was more comfortable with, like the things I'm the most comfortable with, is linked lists. Then after linked lists, it would probably be like binary trees. After binary trees, it'd probably be matrices. The thing that I'm the least comfortable with is probably graphs. Although it's not so much the concept of graphs, it's more so just like the common algorithms like Dijkstra and shit like that. I definitely have to like get into the habit of doing like common algorithms just to like do it like, Dijkstra, fucking, maybe like, maybe breadth first search, depth first search. Although breadth first and depth first isn't like terrible, especially with binary trees, but, in terms of like using it, haven't used it a lot in my job in terms of like implementation, at least not directly. And I definitely, should and could get better in terms of like the performance of it. So that's what my intention is this weekend. I'm probably gonna take it. What the fuck? Data download. This weekend I'm probably gonna take it a little bit easy in terms of what. One file. In terms of studying, I may dedicate like 4 or 5 hours. The past week, I've been dedicating like fucking 8 hours a day, and it's been draining the shit out of me. But I definitely feel like this was a positive experience. I definitely, learned more about the interviewing process. I learned more about, just even at my job. Like one thing that I did learn. Okay, I don't know why the fuck they're giving me news about it now. One thing that I did learn at my job recently was basically negotiation and basically having a pair of balls and like standing up for like what you think is right. And for me, that was basically saying, hey, listen, I think that I deserve more. I've done more, and I'm not really happy with this number. And the reason why I say that is that there may be people who feel that way and they're like, you know what, this isn't fair. I'm sure there's people in my job who deserve more. But for me, it was like a fucking highway robbery. Like I put in so much work, and I like tried so hard, and like I was so disappointed to see that number. And I told them, hey, listen, I'm not really happy with this. Whatever may be, may be. And what I ended up doing was, after that, I just started applying at jobs. I started studying more. I did take off last Friday and this Friday just because like I don't want to be a piece of garbage and like work from home and like half study and half do my work because I don't want to be like I still work at my job. I still like my job. I'm not gonna like not give it my all and like try to do my best. Like even if I think I'm getting underpaid, it doesn't mean like okay now I'm just gonna be a piece of shit and like be shitty to match my pay. So that's another reason why I was thinking of leaving my company because I feel like if you get to the point where I was where you're doing all this work and you're not getting all this pay, you're either going to leave the company or start doing shitty work to match your shitty pay. So I was like, fuck, like, I don't want to do that. So I started applying to different places. I still need to get back to a bunch of people because, like, Amazon ended up eating a lot of my time because I actually had to prepare for the test. But I think I may less aggressively do other jobs. The problem is that this is a time-consuming endeavor. It does take time. And it is annoying. It is draining. But I'll be honest with you. It has been a pretty good experience, and I definitely think that, doing leak code problems are very beneficial because it's kind of like doing math problems, just getting better. So I'm going to continue to do them at least like maybe 5 hours a week, not what I did this past 2 weeks where it was like fucking 30 hours in like 5 days. But I definitely do want to get a lot more comfortable and a lot faster because a lot of these problems, like when you know them, like, it's not about memorization, because a lot of people will do, like, thousands of leak code problems and be like, oh, man, I went to an interview, and I saw a problem that was like it, but it wasn't exactly like it, and I didn't know how to solve it. And it's like, bro, you need to fucking understand what you're doing. Like for me, like for the matrix problems, I made it a point not to look at the answer because I didn't want to just accept people's answer and then make it my own. So one thing that is definitely good for me is like I'll hit a point where if I'm on a problem for more than like an hour and 30 minutes, which at the maximum, I'll be like, oh, this is taking way too long. I'll be like, you know what? I will try like different solutions. I'll try different, attempts. But you get to a point where you're like, listen, I just don't see it. I don't see what the solution is. You look at it, you see some, just to see something that gives a hint. That's why, like, me personally, I like in-person interviews more than like the online bullshit. Because the online bullshit, because even like, first of all, so my solution wasn't as performant, which sucks. I kind of wanted to make it better, but like when I was doing the online application, at one point, like they give you variables that are provided, and I swear to God, like this is gonna sound retarded. This is like sometimes when you're programming and you think like Java's having an error, and it's really you being retarded, which it probably is the case for me. But it basically was something where the variables were not matching what I thought the program's parameters should match. So they give you the rows and columns of the matrix, which you can derive yourself, but they give it to you just for like time's sake and shit. But it wasn't working the way I thought it should work. And then after like 10 minutes of debugging it, I said, fuck this. I'm not using their variables. I'm going to use my own. And then it ended up working once I did that. So I was like, okay, there's some misunderstanding here. But I was disappointed that like that 10-minute block got fucked up. Because I was thinking that I would go back, make things a little bit better. But I ended up not being able to do that, which sucks. But all in all, this has been a pretty good 2 weeks. It's been a busy 2 weeks. I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, this has probably been a ridiculously busy week for a lot of reasons. One reason is that even last week, like, my weekend got obliterated just because of the fact that my family... watch how lazy I am. This is pure fucking laziness. I could quit the app and come back in. I could do a lot of things, but fuck that, nigga. I am lazy as a motherfucker. I don't want to leave. I do not want to leave. No, no, no. I said a no, no, no. But yeah, last weekend my family was actually sick with the flu. Not corona, just the flu. So my weekend was like fucked. I had a lot of errands to do, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like I want to take off last Friday, and I want to take off tomorrow, which is this Friday. Just because I want to prepare for the interview, I have tests, all this meetings, all this bullshit. And it ended up being good that I took off those Fridays because I definitely needed them. And I think, so what's weird is that now my company, everyone is working remote until the end of, or the beginning of April because of coronavirus. So there's fears of coronavirus. A lot of companies have been doing this. Amazon, Google, Amazon on the West Coast anyway. Google, all these different companies are like, fuck it, just stay home, don't come in. Hopefully we'll ride out this fucking fucked virus. So for the past, since Tuesday, I've been working remotely, which is kind of awesome and kind of annoying because it's awesome because I get to save money on gas, I get to save money on tolls, but it's kind of weird because like you stay home all day and like, I don't know, I'm just used to being out, even if it is just to drive to work. And it's also weird, like you video conference, like we've been video conferencing a lot using Zoom. Shout out to Zoom. Fucking that shit, oh my God, that shit is like, that's the only thing that's fucking positive on the stock market right now. So, it's like you still talk to each other, but it's weird, man. It's really weird working from home and talking to everybody, like when I work from home and I talk to people, it's not that bad. It's like, all right, we're just having a conversation about this, conversation about that. But when everybody's working from home and everybody isn't coming in, it just feels so weird. Like, it's such a surreal thing. Like, a month ago, at the end of January, I did not think coronavirus would be this much of a motherfucker where I'd be staying home for 2 weeks from work. But, it is what it is, bro. It is what it is. Like, honestly, I did not think coronavirus would be fucking up my life this much to this degree, and it's just the beginning. Coronavirus literally just came to America like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks. And I don't know how bad it's going to get. I really am hoping that like quarantines work and that like American numbers stay low. Right now, by me in the tri-state area, the numbers are like 30-ish. I'm hoping that shit stays low, but You never know. I mean, if I get coronavirus, I don't think I'll die. Hopefully, maybe. I pray to God. But you know, I have a family member who's old. I have my mom. I have other people who are old. So I don't want them dying of the fucking boomer flu. So I'll try not to get sick. I'll try not to go out. But I guess we'll see, bro. Hopefully this time May I'll be saying like I'm so happy I held on to my Microsoft calls because now they're worth $1 million, $1 billion. But it is what it is. So yeah, that is another thing. I have been working from home for the past week, and it's probably gonna go for at least another 2 weeks. And another piece of good news. Another piece of good news. I'm actually really happy about is that my job actually decided to give me a larger raise than what I originally got. So originally they were going to give me a 12% raise, and I told them, hey, listen, like I feel like this isn't unfair. You know, in the past I talked to my manager. He's like, I think you're a little bit underpaid. And by the way, let me just say, after I talked to Amazon, I'm feeling super underpaid because that motherfucker asked me on the phone. He go, yeah, you know what would be a good starting salary for you? Would you think? And I'm like, I'm trying to think of a retardedly high number. I'm like, you know what, 115,000. I think 115,000 base salary would be it. And then the recruiter's like, oh, okay, well, we got a lot of room to move up from here. This, you know, that's not a crazy ask. And I'm like, what? I thought this motherfucker's be like, yeah, 110. You know, we got to move down a little bit. You know, we ain't in the city. And I'm like, holy shit, oh my god. But honestly, to be completely honest with you, this is gonna sound corny. For me working at Amazon, the largest thing was not the money. It's like, yeah, I want to leave my company at the time because I feel like I got fucked over. I'm still getting probably underpaid in terms of like what I could get in my area. But I kind of knew that from the beginning at my job. It was more so like the experience was fucking amazing, and it still is. By the way, I'm still going to apply for jobs. I'm probably not going to do what I did with Amazon. If I have a job like Amazon where it's like, oh, fuck, I want to work there, then yeah, maybe I'll work from home half a day. I'll like spend time doing a task or something like that. But I'm not going to do this for every interview. It's not worth it. I already talked to some fucking company who are like once I told them my salary requirement, they're like, yeah, maybe you could be a senior engineer. Maybe you could do this, maybe do that. And by the way, let me just say, me failing Amazon's assessment makes me feel better about myself because I was shook to take that exam. First of all, I knew the problem, right? I knew the fucking problem, and I was able to do it. And at the end of the day, for me, when a company tells me to go fuck myself, that's a good sign because like it's basically telling me they don't let retards in there, which I'm not retarded officially. But the dude I was talking to, he's like, yeah, let me just ask you a couple of coding questions just to get the idea going. I'm like, all right, whatever, dude. He's like, can you give me 2 search algorithms and their time complexity? And I'm like, dude, this is like fucking freshman level shit, bro. Like, I'm not. You're asking me. You're screening me with junior questions, and you want me to work at a senior level. Like, you're fucking shot, dude. Like, you're so shot. So that guy even tried to drain me. Like, I talked to him at 8 p.m. Like, I tried to drain him and be like, oh, sorry, dude. The only time I could talk is at 8 p.m. He's like, motherfucker, I'll call you 8:30. I was like, oh, this motherfucker really called me 8:30, nigga? Like, leave me the fuck alone. I mean, I talked to him. He's a nice guy. He's a very nice guy. It's just the point that I really, like, he gave me, like, a L company with whatever L software and whatever L. And I was like, I'm not really interested, but, if you want to give me more information, da-da-da. Nice guy. Seemed like the opportunity wasn't a great fit for me personally, though. Oh, yeah, but basically, going back to my job, they ended up giving me another 7% raise. So in total, I have like a 20% raise, like 19.7 or some shit, which is way better. That's what I thought I was going to be in the beginning, like 20 to 25% over the year. The one thing I don't like about my company is that they don't do what companies like Amazon and Google do, where every year, the middle of the year, they'll give you like a 10% raise, and then at the end of 15 or like 15. I don't like that. I think it would be way better if they just did like small raises in the middle and a big raise at the end. You know what I mean? Like imagine I went to the end of the year, they gave me 12%, but early in the year they gave me 8%. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't be that salty. At least I'm getting something somewhere. But yeah, I mean I ended up getting more money just because I asked for it, and because I did put the work in, and the director knows me. Like he knows that I do work, so it ended up being something that I went from originally a measly 12% raise to a big boy 19% raise, which is a lot more. It feels a lot better. I definitely do think I'm still going to apply to other jobs, and I may try to work somewhere closer because Like right now, I'm working from home for the next 2 weeks. No gas expense, no toll expense. Like that feels good as fuck. That's great as fuck. That's a positive in it of itself. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that I definitely do think it would be a good thing if I looked into moving to a closer job or something that was just a little bit better in terms of pay, in terms of experience. Again, the pay isn't the most expensive thing. Obviously, I'm not going to go to a company for less pay. Nor do I really want to go to a company for like a K more unless it's a good experience. There's some type of positive coming out of it, etc., etc. Um, but I definitely do think that that Amazon position, by the way, like I'm not super crazy about Amazon, but that position sounded like super cool. It sounded like something that I already do, but just on a more like larger structured level. Which seems interesting. That does seem interesting, and that is something I am interested in. And I think it may be a good learning experience. It may be a good growth experience. And I definitely do want to consider, and I do want to continue to apply to jobs. I do want to continue to study. This dude really hit me with a Heil Hitler, and I really do want to get better at basically, problem solving as well as the performance of it. And I think it can only get better from here. And again, at the end of the day, I already have a job. I'm not looking for a job right now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not fucking dying, living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. It's just, not that bad. Um, and I think for me, it's basically the point in time where I think it's good for me to get a little bit more experience, a little bit more learning. And by the way, the job that I was going to was closer to the university I went to originally. So that would be a big W. That would be great because even like I've thought about going back to school for like a master's degree. I don't know what exactly. It probably would either be in math or computer science. Me personally, it's just really hard to find the time as well as find the money, especially when I fucking commute like 45 minutes a day. Like that's a motherfucker. Um, but yeah, I don't really know. I think for me, the most important thing at the short term is I want to do more problems. I want to continue to apply. I want to see what's like what the job market's looking like. It's looking good right now. Hopefully, this fucking recession doesn't really happen. Otherwise, it's gonna be a fucking hard time, boys. Um, but at the end of the day, what can I say? I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna cut my losses right there. What can I say? Ended up getting a raise at the end of the day. I got a little bit more experience. Amazon yeeted the fuck out of me. Recession, coronavirus, work from home. There's a lot of shit going on right now. Hopefully, if you're out there, if you don't have a job that lets you work from home, hopefully it gets better. I know my dad was fucking, he called me bitching and moaning, complaining that his manager's a cocksucker. So I'm like, yeah, dude, fuck that guy. He's a piece of shit for making you work. So it is what it is. At the end of the day, I've been in my house all week. I'm looking tomorrow to go out, cough on some people, spread this shit, and just feel better about myself. And hey, remember, at the end of the day, today is all that matters. Tomorrow does not exist. And if you were to invest in the stock market right now, you're either going to be rich or dead in a ditch.